What's up, gang? Hey, what's up? It's Sebastian here, and welcome to my second Milestone video. This week, the focus was on the development of my controller, the device that would track all acceleration, rotation, and joystick movement data. To accomplish this, I used two different chips. The first one was the MPU 6050 accelerometer gyro chip. Yeah, that's a long name. This chip collects its own acceleration and rotation data, and then converts that into readable values. The second chip that I used was the joystick. This component, as many of you may know, reads how much the joystick has been rotated on the X and the Y axis, and then also returns values between 0 and 1023 to represent how far along each axis has been rotated. As you may know, the accelerometer is going to be used for motions such as swinging your sword, and the joystick is going to be used for the movement of the player character. All these components would be wired together to an Arduino Uno, which would collect all the data and then send it to the computer. To wire this device, I initially used a breadboard and jumper wires to build an initial layout of how each connection was going to be made, and if there would be any problems with the device. Through this method, and viewing wiring layouts of each component, I created an initial controller. The one problem I noticed, though, with using a simple breadboard is that all the connections kind of remain loose. That means you would plug in a wire, and then when you try and you plug in a wire in the accelerometer chip, and then it could very easily fall loose because everything's kind of just cobbled together. I mean, there's nothing keeping it stuck together. So it could easily disconnect or slightly be disconnected, just a little bit off so that no power can go through. This would essentially just make connections very difficult to create. So, for that reason, once I had determined that the wiring layout I had created would work, I moved to a perf board, which would allow me to solder all my wires together. Once soldered, I connected the Arduino to my computer and ran the serial monitor and watched as the values began to flow in. So that was how I built the controller. This is how it currently looks like. Yeah, it looks like a mess of wires. But next week, what I'll be doing is I'll be integrating the input from this controller into the Unity game from last week. And yeah, we'll be able to see how that turns out. It'll be pretty cool. So yeah. Alright, well, that's it. And I'll see you next week.